Welcome to Through the Glass. I'm your host, the host. Today I've got Daniel Hickman of Don't Fret Guitar Repair. Good friend, good guy, and let's get into it. What's up, man?
Just loving it. Happy to be here.
You look great. I wanted to compliment you on your shirt. You said you're Miami ready.
Oh yeah. I don't normally get dressed up, so consider it a honor.
Well, I am honored. Every time I see you, you look terrible. You always look like a mess.
Thank you.
And
I am.
Your hair, you got a little product in your hair.
Product.
Don't lie. I know you got some product in there. What do you use? What do you like to use?
It's called 2 or 3 days without bathing.
That's your product.
Yes.
Funk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to work up to this status here.
Well, you look
funk.
You look good, man.
Thanks.
You look like you're in shape. Just before we went on here, we were talking about trying to be healthy and taking care of ourselves. I told you I just try and balance, eat well enough, good enough.
How can we cheat the system?
Good or well enough to balance my bad habits and my vices. And you have a trick. What's your trick? Tell the people. Don't listen to us, by the way. This is not medical advice.
Green Vibrance. It's powder. Put it in the water. It's got all the spirulinas and chlorelina and chlorophyll, whatever you call it, and tons of vitamins and minerals. And it's the way to cheat the system. You can do whatever you want. Drink.
Vicious drug habits, no problem.
Oh yeah, Green Vibrance will clear that up.
What does it do for you? Do you know, or you just take it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it you feel good. It's it gives you good clean energy.
Nice, dude. I'll have to check it out. You have to shoot me a link.
Yeah. There's no like proprietary blends. It's got a ingredients list that's half the label. It's pretty cool.
Nice, man. Speaking of eating well, you and I share a love. I want to give a shout out. This is not a paid endorsement, and I learned one of our engineers just got turned on. I'm going to do it. They're not paying us for this.
Wow.
Bubby's Pickles. They're the best.
Only a Moby is good enough for a Bubby.
Yeah,
or something
only a Moby pickle is good enough for Bubby.
Yeah.
Like all Bubby's products. Her dills are gluten-free. There's an actual Bubby.
She's got it going on.
Yeah. Anyway, if you're into pickles, folks, Bubby's. So Daniel and I were starting a side project. It's called Pickles and Whiskey. So we've already got that started today, which is wonderful. We have not copyrighted that yet, so if anyone's interested in stealing that, just do it. Pickles and Whiskey.
Don't start your party without pickles and whiskey.
Yeah, and then we bust in to our first song. That's the introduction. We have a hype man. Gets everybody all briny, ready for the show.
Get the bitter beer face going on.
We also will be trademarking Men on Pause.
Men?
Because I'm having freaking hot flashes like a motherfucker today.
It's a little hot in here.
I'm overdressed. I have like one season. You'd think I lived in, I don't know, a place where there's only one season. So I'm sure I'm glistening and red. Were you born in this area?
No, Tennessee. Columbia, Tennessee.
Yeah, you have a little twang in your voice.
Mule Capital of the world.
Mule. Like the farm animal? The beast?
Mix of a horse and a donkey. Yeah.
How did that happen? Like, who was the first person that's like, we're going to get this going?
Do
you have any?
Well, it goes back to when agriculture was prominent in the area, and everybody would come and buy, trade, sell their mules at the courthouse. And that's it.
Why crossbreed a horse and a donkey?
I guess they're just really strong and dumb. They just work, and they're sterile. I don't know what that has to do with it, but
so you can't make a mule from a mule. You could only make a mule from a horse and a donkey.
It's I'm not sure which one it is, but it's either or a male horse and a female donkey. And it's got to be whatever that, whatever the combination is.
And you probably need the right conditions. Do you think they put like a little sprinkle a little X on the hay to see what happens?
Play a little some soul. What's that? The
Marvin Gaye?
No, heavy set black dude.
Not Marvin Gaye. He was thin. Oh, Barry White.
Of course, Barry White.
Is he still with us, or did he pass away?
I don't know. Haven't been following his career.
Oh my gosh! So you're born in Tennessee in the Mule Capital. When did you leave there?
2005. I met New Jersey band Desole in Nashville. They were open up for the Dirty Dozen brass band. Went to see them. Started talking to the front of house and Andy Letke, who teaches here, I believe.
He's a manager.
Yeah,
Over at Lake House Music Academy, Andy Letke, nasty key player. It's in his name.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a beast on keys.
Multi-instrumentalist. Taught me a lot on banjo, or a lot. All that I know on banjo.
I didn't know. Maybe I should know that. I think he also referred me with vocal exercises once. Andy, if you're watching this and this wasn't you, I'm sorry, but it'll make you seem cooler. I think you're the one who sent me some clips of vocal exercises, and yeah, it's definitely him. And he had them like nicely organized. He's like, yeah, just go to my site and then just click on that, and it's like an audio clip of him explaining it and doing it, and it was really helpful. For every couple of years, I dive deep into relearning old vocal exercises and learning new ones, because there's just a night and day difference. Like, look, I could play guitar pretty much just as good if I don't stretch. It'll start to hurt after a while. That's when I know the difference. But with vocal and singing, especially if you're recording, there's just, you have to warm up. You have to stretch your parts and push things. I hope it's important.
Yeah, it's my wife.
You want to take it? You want to put it on speakerphone to see what happens?
No.
You can, if it's important, you can.
No, I'll text her if it's important, and she'll text me back.
All right.
I told her I was on this, but she's pregnant, so.
I know. You guys are what, 6 months in?
No, 6.5. August 20th is the due date.
And this is your second child.
Yeah.
You guys got right to it after the first one, too.
Yeah, we
not messing around.
Not wait around.
So, did you move out of Tennessee because of the band and the opportunities that that presented?
Toured with them for almost 5 years.
What was the touring schedule like?
Looks like I'm gonna get this.
Let's just do it. Let's have an on-air phone conversation. This will be a first. Got to do it on speakerphone though, so we can talk to her.
She must have got my text as I was answering and hung up.
As you can see,
Sorry
folks,
about that.
I don't lie when I say we don't edit this show. Anything can happen. Crazy stuff like wives calling.
Could have sworn I put this on vibrate, but
well, wives have a way to always get through. They've got the button. So, what was the touring schedule primarily? What kind of touring? You know, obviously we're in a recording studio, beautiful Lake House recording studios, and tons of musicians around here. Now my phone's blowing up. Isn't that funny? I wonder if it's your wife. She's like, you tell him not to silence Michael. Yes, right away. You know, so many artists come in here and so many musicians, but really touring musicians, it is another level, but it's just a different way to go. Doesn't mean it's necessarily harder or you're a better player because you're touring, but that's first of all a gigantic commitment, and it offers things. Just simply being able to travel. The first time I was able to see parts of the world, I'd never even been on an airplane. Was through music and touring and getting to see other cities and countries that never, ever, ever would have been able to, either just financially or just, I don't know. Why would I go there?
Sure.
Why would I be in Austria? Like, why would that occur to me as a teenager or something? But what was the Desole schedule like? And was it your first time touring?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do or go to a lot of the places I went to otherwise. And the first 2 months, maybe more, we were touring with the Wailers and opening for them and playing nice venues, theaters. And I guess they would do, 2 or 3 shows a week, go to the next place. Might have been even more frequent than that, but all across United States, East Coast, West Coast. They did some shows for a lot of their own shows, playing smaller venues, and but they opened up for Los Lonely Boys and Widespread Panic, REM.
And were you guys supporting?
Support.
Were you there too?
Yeah.
So you were supporting REM on a gig?
No, that was right before I joined up with them, and that was Mexico City. I was not a part of that, but yeah, they supported REM.
I'm a big fan of theirs. So anytime they get mentioned for something, I get excited. I've always been such a big fan, and they're one of those bands that definitely a lot of people hate. And just get annoyed by. Are you one of those people?
No,
all right, 'cause you're making a face right now.
No, I like Michael Stipe and REM. I don't know any other band members, but yeah, no, they're great. The guy I'm working with, Paul, actually, I'm not sure the whole connection, but he sold Michael Stipe a mandolin. I may have gone to their guitar player, mandolin player, but I'm not sure how the connection was made. But
that's interesting.
Yeah,
they were like the first. Isn't that the first and maybe only top #1 single pop hit ever that had mandolin as the primary instrument? Was that "Losing My Religion"?
Losing My Religion,
which is like such a oddball single, I guess, or an oddball hit.
This guy's a great monster. That album killed it. That was, when I was first getting into music that I enjoyed, 14, 15, that was one of the first albums I had and expanded my horizons.
That's a heavy album too.
Yeah.
It's so fat.
Yeah.
And they just decided to marry tremolo. The tremolo effect on that album too. It's all over it, and instead of just like trying to use it sparsely, it's like it's like a member of the band. Tremolo is a member of the band.
Absolutely.
On Monster, and it's so nasty, and there's so much like feedback and just nasty funk on that album. I remember seeing that tour. That was the first time I saw REM, so I'm probably a good number of. How old are you?
36.
Okay. So I got you by 8 years. And my gateway into like when I was really getting into my own music was REM too. But you got to go back before Monster. It was Green.
I don't know that album.
It's got kind of a cheesy song. The song Stand. That was like a big, big, big hit for them. Sounds a little dated now. And I don't know if it's something they'd whip out at they're not together anymore, but that album, that was when I was like, all right, I got $7. I don't know how much
how about
cassettes were then.
Night Swimming? That's an early song.
That's later. That's on.
Was it later?
That's on Drive. That song is gorgeous.
That's a great song.
That song is like, there's a couple songs on that album that, if I'm in the right mood and I'm alone, I might get a little choked up. Try Not to Breathe.
You got to be alone though.
You got to be alone. I can't cry in front of my family, Daniel. What the fuck are you talking about? No, I'm just not a crier. I need to be alone and really depressed. like an addict or something. It's like, I don't do it with people. I only do it alone. That's like been my MO many things in my life. Oh, that's only something I do by myself late at night in a dark room. Yeah, Night Swimming. What a gorgeous song. The piano melody. Mike Mills, their bassist, keyboardist, amazing vocal harmony. Yeah, he's the guy, Mike Mills. And I remember back in the day, especially during the Monster era, his whole stage getup, he would wear like Elvis outfits and shit, like, you know, big one-piece sequins. He was like the
big collar,
rhinestones, a lot of chest. Yeah, he was doing that whole thing during that era. We saw them at Madison Square Garden.
Wow, yeah.
For the Monster tour. Luscious Jackson was the opener, and I was pissed because the opener for the other leg of the tour was Radiohead.
Luscious Jackson?
For REM. So on the Monster tour, Luscious Jackson maybe was the U.S. support, and then outside of the U.S. it was Radiohead. Fact check internet if I'm getting this wrong, and I would have been like really stoked. Yeah,
that would have been great.
REM sort of brought Radiohead. I mean, they wouldn't have needed any help if REM wasn't there, and Creep was like a giganto hit. But as far as getting in front of American faces, I think REM was the band that I assume they were in charge of who their opener was. They were bosses for a long time.
Absolutely.
Being such a huge band. So I was like, oh, Luscious Jackson, no disrespect, but I want some Radiohead.
Heck yeah.
And
wow.
I did eventually get to see Radiohead.
I mean, that must have been like 94 or something, 93?
I think 93. I was in high school. Might have been like right before I had a license. I went with my cousin. It's like me and my cousin and our girlfriends. Just good, clean fun, heading up to MSG.
Sure.
And it was quite nice, even with Luscious Jackson as the opener. They're cool though. They've got some really cool songs, and they license a lot of like soundtrack stuff too. So they're cool. All love and respect.
The only Luscious Jackson song that I can recall at this point was the Gap commercial that they did. They did a Gap commercial. I don't know when, but yeah.
Good for them. It's like I was just talking to a musician the other day, and licensing your music it's definitely becoming more of a thing now and something that people are talking about, but it was this mysterious black box of a world forever amongst musicians. Like if you were a guy or a gal who was actually making some money licensing your music, you were not talking to other musicians about how you were doing it. I remember asking a few people when I would learn, so like how does that work? And no one was sharing the information, which is totally fine, by the way. You know, as an artist, if you can make a buck, God bless you. And if you could like make bucks by not like grinding, like on the road and all that, like that's beautiful. And I could see someone being really protective of that.
Sure, you don't want to saturate the market.
Yeah, it's like, why am I going to turn you on to my agent? You better not write anything good, you know? So yeah, I had a few funny conversations about that, but licensing seems to be becoming, I guess, more of an avenue, and maybe just more conversation around it. It's not something I've personally explored, but just working at the studio, so many people go that route or explore that route. And I think if you can get paid to write something and not need to perform it or even sing it, or do anything with it other than to sell it to someone, like you've crafted a custom thing for someone, like making, you know, custom jeans or something, or a fitted hat. It's art, and it's just another way to go. I would like to have that conversation on the show sometime, if someone's willing to share the secrets. So what brought about your end in Desole? Did the band end, or did you end in the band?
It's a little bit of both, I guess. I mean, the band still played for years and years, but it wasn't as consistent as it was. And just, you know, you grow roots in an area. I started working in shops and just had to do my own thing.
That's cool. And is that when you decided to settle into Jersey?
I guess it was before then. I mean, Jersey's great. The shore is great. I don't know exactly when in the timeline I decided that Jersey was going to be my home. I was probably fought it for a while, but
well, it has a bad rap.
Yeah, but it's, you know, except for the winters, it's really great.
Yeah, it has the worst rap ever.
I think that's a I think New Jersey likes it that way.
I like it that way.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell anyone to
secret's
come
out,
to the
though.
shore. Well, no doubt, no
Secret's
doubt.
out.
But historically, I'm like, yeah, if your image of Jersey is, you know, you come into Newark Airport and you're like, holy shit, what is this? And then you get out and you smell that nice Newark Elizabeth air. And you're like, whoa, what is that? It's that spicy chemical vibe in the air. It just comes out of the river and like over the turnpike.
Yeah, the turnpike. That's that. Well, I guess it's all the factories around there, but
yeah, that's where a lot of those plants are in that Elizabeth area, cogeneration plants, and I don't understand any of that stuff. It looks like terrible pollution. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's clean steam coming out. Like, I wouldn't know the difference. I just know that part of the state smells like, you know, if you had like clean water at some point and just every day you just threw up in it, and then like, you know, 50 years later you just walked by it real fast, it would go like kind of smack it. Still here.
That'll knock you back.
I don't break down. What?
Newark don't break down.
That's the phrase. Newark don't break down. Okay. Yeah. What's that? The life of the chemicals. I'm forgetting my chemistry because I didn't go to the class that much. We would skip out and go to McDonald's, which was on the beach in Belmar. I went to high school in Belmar, and we would cut out by senior year or junior year, and right on the boardwalk there was a McDonald's. We'd go and get fries, and then go on the beach and just smoke cigarettes and space out, looking at the ocean, and then try and get back just in time for dismissal, and try and work that, you know, without getting caught. Pretty sure they knew we were doing that.
Second and third period had no idea.
No. Those were good times. It was. I didn't like my high school too much as far as like the politics of it and the social structure of it. But you know, you could walk to the boardwalk, so it's not so bad. Who did you know in Jersey? Did you have contacts here?
No, I have a sister that lives in Brooklyn, but no.
So Jersey. I guess you got a taste of the shore. Did you guys play like Asbury or anything when you were touring then?
Stone Pony, the Sawmill.
Ooh, the Sawmill. What was that? That was down in Seaside, right?
Yeah. I think that was one of the first gigs I worked.
Oh yeah?
Sawmill.
Wow, that's a blast from the past.
Is that place still there?
I don't know. Maybe it's not from the past.
Yeah.
It's just I hear that name and I think of, I guess when I was gigging at some point, and it just brings back a memory. So that's cool. So you got a taste of the shore. I mean,
sure.
I mean, Seaside's nuts. That's what people think. That's the other thing people think of too. You know, so they're thinking of like, you know, how Elizabeth smells and Newark smells and the airport, and then that great show, Jersey Shore. Just that amazing moment in time. Remember that show, dude? I never really.
The Jersey Shore was.
Is that what it's
Snooki.
called?
Yeah,
it's called Jersey Shore, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm not even. And then that became like the brand, which at first was like repulsive, but then it's like, no, good. Yeah, you don't want to come here.
Yeah, that's.
So it
New
worked.
Jersey really liked that because it's like, yeah, that's what everybody's like, but it's not.
Yeah, a lot of fist bumping and tanning beds, and you know, just going out and getting after it at the club. Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, that was like a phenomenon, that show. And then people would associate. You couldn't say like, oh, I'm from the Jersey. I guess now we're taking the word back, the term Jersey Shore. It's kind of coming back, but for a while they owned it. And it's like, oh, you live at the shore? And I'm like, yep. yeah, you don't want to come here.
Mm-mm.
Yep. But if you do, you definitely want to go to Seaside. That's where you want to. Yeah. That's where you want to be. Maybe Point Pleasant. Maybe Belmar. Don't. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't creep. Don't creep into other places.
We've been going to the aquarium in Jenkinson's Aquarium.
That's a beautiful aquarium.
Yeah, with the kid. He really likes it.
Yeah, I remember we brought our kids there a couple times, and it's pretty.
Yeah.
And it's very easy. It's affordable.
Totally affordable. Good little day trip.
Yeah, they do it up nice there, and then you could just chill out on the beach and kick it, and then go to the club, fucking get some beers.
That's me.
Well, you got to you have to get Tanner. I don't think you're.
Yeah,
you're not ready for the
little
club.
more orange.
You got to get some of that Trump cream.
Blow
dude.
it out, you know.
You need some Trump cream. That dude. I feel like I could talk about him now. He is one of the most interesting people of all time, regardless of whether you respect or hate.
Well, yeah.
That is an interesting dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done some things.
Keeping it orange.
Keeping it orange.
Yeah, man, he should probably sell that shit.
Unapologetic.
You got it. Unapologetic. So that's one of the things that like I have to be like, all right, with certain people, like even if I'm like hating on someone, I'm like, they keep it very real. I kind of like that. I don't like people who are trying to con me all the time. I like people who just say it like it is, and then I can say, well, that sucks. All right, I know what's up. You know, there's a lot of really people who are really smart and really slick and they're like little ninjas, and but some people just put it out there. That dude, he just puts it out there. Well, if you're listening, Don, old, Trump cream. Just sounds good. Jesus, Daniel.
Sorry.
Trump cream. It's Donald. Daniel, I want you to be my East Coast representation for Trump cream. So then you're not a touring musician anymore. I know that's a tough life. As glamorous and as exciting as that is, I know that's one of the toughest gigs on planet Earth. You know, you are a god for 45 and 50 minutes, and then there's 23 hours and 10 minutes of the most intense boredom known to man, and trying to not strangle the people who you now live right next to, like literally, and you're just smelling them all day and night, and the little eccentricities that they have, which were charming, are now like, man, fuck that.
You learn.
I don't think I could handle that for another night.
You learn a lot about yourself, you know, and what you can deal with as far as different personalities, and yeah, it's a lot. It's
a crash course in marriage. It really is. It's like, oh, if you survived a tour, it's like, oh, yeah, you know what it's like to live with someone then, whether you're married or not, I guess. So then what was the plan when you said, all right, well, I'm not a touring musician anymore? Is that when you sort of transitioned into your work now, guitar repair, and you're also a woodworker? I know that. We can get into all that. I know you're starting a Woodworking Collective. We chatted about that on the phone. I'd like to learn what the hell that means, most importantly. But when did you start getting into instrument repair and even building?
Well, I mean, I was the guitar tech, so that was, you know, I was working on guitars for the band and just really soaked it up then. And then when I was off the road, I got jobs in shops. I worked at the Guitar Guy in Toms River, apprentice under him for a little bit.
I met that guy a million. CJ?
Paul Unkert.
Oh.
I worked at Raritan Bay as well.
Is that what CJ?
That's
I'm
CJ.
when I was a teenager.
Yeah, he's still doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I found my guy a million years ago. He's now retired. But I met, you know, you meet everybody at least once. It's such a small world. So you worked out of those shops.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Guitar Guy, I worked there for a year. I worked out of that shop. And mainly he had a guitar line that he was trying to mass produce. And
Oh, he was manufacturing guitars?
yeah, and I was tuning all those guitars.
Oh, wow. So that's like a factory?
Yeah,
setting?
they're produced overseas and then shipped, and then I tuned them all. You know,
You were like the quality
I
control.
was quality control.
That's interesting. So how does that work? Like someone sort of just specs up a design and then you work out a deal with a manufacturer?
He had his handmade line, and they mass produced it. The same design, same guitar.
So he had two lines really. You can get the handmade one and then
the Unk and the X Mark was the import.
I did not know.
They
I
were
only
nice
know that guy
guitars.
through people.
Yeah.
Paul. Maybe I met him once. I don't know. But I have some friends down that way. Shout out to the Beach family. Who I know have worked with him several times. That's interesting. I didn't know that he was doing that.
Yeah.
And you were the QC on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened after that?
I got fired.
Is this like a touchy subject?
No.
Why'd you get fired then?
It wasn't working out for
Obviously.
for Paul. I mean, that kind of, in my opinion, diluted his handmade guitar, and he had to dissolve the company ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough call. I assume if you're making things from scratch, you are an artist and you're over the top quality control, and then to say, all right, well, let's have someone else make it, mass produce it.
It was too early on that project, in my opinion. You know, he was making this guitar, and they were selling, you know, mid-level price point, and
Electrics or acoustic?
electric, bolt-on electric. I don't know, like $1,000, depending on what's on it. You know, maybe $800 on the low end and $1,200 on the high end.
That's a pretty good price even then for a handmade.
But they weren't selling to a point to where you can say, "Hey, I'm going to mass produce this." But the mass produced guitars were a decent quality. So I feel like it really diluted his handmade, and then he just didn't work out for him.
Interesting.
And it just came in one day. I can't work here anymore. I was bitter for a while, but it's all good. You know, I learned a lot, and then I went and worked at Raritan Bay, running accounts at Guitar Center for years. Union Square, Manhattan.
What does that mean, running accounts?
For Guitar Center, repair accounts.
Oh, okay.
Guitar repair accounts at Guitar Center.
Okay.
So I was a subcontractor, and yeah.
And then at what point did you decide I'm going to do my own thing?
Well, got fired from that job as well. Because I wanted more, and it wasn't happening there, and I am quick to vocalize what I want, so it didn't work out, and then I was doing some subcontract work for Floyd Rose in Wall, and I was back and forth from North Jersey, and tuning Floyd Rose guitars for them, a couple days a week. And then I got
floating tremolo system.
And then I got a job at that factory or warehouse, and they're distributing all sorts of stuff, guitar cases. They have their own brand of guitars, the R&B, and I was tuning all of those.
And that was in Wall. Is that still there?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah. Floyd Rose, it's the exclusive distribution.
That's interesting. I never knew that, and I've been in this area my whole life. I owned a guitar with a Floyd Rose tremolo system on it. This is going way, way, way back.
Kramer?
No, it was a Ibanez. One of those Ibanez RG series. They were solid.
Yeah.
Well. I was playing kind of like metal, hardcore. I can't imagine someone saying like, hey, take this guitar. By the way, if one string goes, the whole guitar goes. I'd be like, what? It didn't occur to me then. I just wanted to like do some dive bombs and shit and just wank off and have fun. And they were stable.
Yeah.
They were stable as hell because I toured with that guitar. I mean, my playing was so bad that I think if it was slightly out of tune as a result of the Floyd Rose, I was probably doing a worse job on the playing. Oh, wait, I can't say that. My wife says no more self-deprecating. I got to take it down. I was doing my best on that tour, and the Floyd Rose system, they were great, though. It was super stable.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't break many strings. So I guess I didn't have to deal with that. But, yeah, it was stable. I kind of miss that guitar.
It's the most stable tremolo system as far as, you know, if you're going to do dive bombs and whatnot, you really can't do it with any other bridge. Unless it's like a Floyd Rose style double locking sort of thing.
Yeah.
Strat doesn't really stay in tune.
No, it's tough. Anything, and we've talked about this, even like, you know, Bigsby's and tremolo arms, vibratos, they're an imperfect system at best.
Mm-hmm.
And the best you can do is just kind of get them close and you just treat them gently. Gentle vibrato,
Mm-hmm.
nothing crazy. But yeah, I probably abused the hell out of the Floyd Rose stuff, and it was like, bring it on. So props to Floyd Rose, even though I don't play those systems anymore. So, all right, so you were saying, so when did you decide to go on your own?
Well, I mean, I'd been realizing for years that it's like the only way to really get ahead and actually, you know, do well for yourself, and I did it.
Was that a tough jump?
2015, I started Don't Fret Music. Or actually, no, I had started it years before then, but really got my spot over here at the old Neptune High School building.
What a funky building.
I love it.
The place is so funky.
I'm sub-level, so it's humid as hell outside, and you walk in, it's like euphoric. It's great. I love it.
You're instantly damp.
Oh, well, and in the winter, it stays slightly warmer.
That's right.
Yeah, it's great.
That's nice. I love that building. The theater in there. It's gorgeous. On the third floor, they run that Cafe Artiste,
Mm-hmm.
which is the funky little. I don't even know what's going on up there, but it's kind of cool. It's a lot of nice people. They run a dance studio out of there. I remember going by that building one day. This is funny. I was at the traffic light outside of Ocean Grove, and the building's on my left, and I look over, and I don't know who was. So tenants come in and out of there semi-regularly. I know they rent a lot of different rooms,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess it was a photo studio, and everything was open. And I look over, and it was just everyone was naked.
Yeah.
It was like, and what was great for me is that it was no guys. It was just women. So I was like, all right, well, that's the kind of naked that I would prefer. And I wish that red light would have stayed red a little longer. It was like like a show. It was hysterical. I'm like, what's going on over there? But thank you. Felt like I had to like throw a tip out the window before I made my way back to Route 35. But
They had to get that good light, you know.
the magic hour lighting. Yeah, I drove by at the magic hour. I was like, damn, that's great. I was having a rough day up until that point. Sometimes you just need like that little pick me up.
God smiled upon you that day.
Michael, take this small token. You're doing okay. You hang in there, buddy. Here's a little bit of this for you, buddy. Yeah, that was a great red light. I've had a bunch of great red lights in my day. I remember stopping and a FedEx truck pulls up next to me. It stops. The door, I guess it wasn't closed properly. The door slides open, and these little bottles of pee just fucking roll out. Because those guys and gals, they are hustling.
Yeah.
And as every year goes by, as we order more and more online, there's not enough delivery infrastructure to ever satisfy everyone's like, I ordered it and I want it tomorrow. Like you can't satisfy that. So I get, like, I don't look down on that driver for peeing in bottles and keeping it in their truck. I care less, really. We've all peed in a bottle. Let's be honest. But the door swings open and the fucking bottles just roll out.
Multiple.
There was two, at least two. Right on the Route 35, and I'm like, that's when you're like, man, why don't I have like cameras going all the time in my life?
I mean, there's no way that's just from the one shift. I mean, the guy needs to clean out his truck.
Oh man, I wish. Yeah, great red light experience. I've had a few others. We won't get into all of them. There's just not enough time. So you're doing your own thing with Don't Fret Guitar Repair. You won the Pun Award for 2017.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's the Men on Pause. I'm not trying to connect those things. Let's move on. The whiskey. What is the Woodworkers Collective, and am I saying it right?
Well, yeah, the Woodworkers Collective is not really the working name at this point. It was an idea, and it's still an idea, but there was it's the woodworking wing sector of Don't Fret Music. We wanted to do a hacker space, which is a shop set up to where some people in the community want to come and use the machinery and have some of their own projects, can be a member and do their own projects if they don't have a chop saw or a bandsaw or whatever they might need.
I see.
We have that stuff.
It's amazing that that's not more of a thing.
I think it's going to really pick up, especially around here. There's not, a lot of houses, you can't even really do that.
Yeah.
But
so it's a membership?
A membership. And that's, a down the line idea. We explored it with, insurance is a big nut.
Well, yeah. So I've got my X amount of dollars to be a member. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to use a bandsaw. I told you, I've used one 1,000 times. I'm good. And then I chop my finger off.
Yeah.
What happens?
You get sued?
Yeah. So how are you planning for that?
Well, you buy a ridiculous insurance clause.
Is that the hardest part of getting something like this together?
Well, I mean, you got to get it set up safely. You need safety guards, proper ventilation, vacuum systems. It needs to be really set up to where, some of the things we might use and get used to might not be to code. There can't be open flywheels. There can't be belts that somebody might be able to get their hand stuck in.
So you have to do it a little different than what you might do for yourself or your partner, or what you might do for your own business. That makes a lot of sense. Are there machines out there, and are there ways to trick out machines so they're kind of foolproof?
Well, I don't know about foolproof, but there's ways to, they make a table saw called a saw stop, and that if you were to get a foreign object, a finger, say, close to the blade, brakes are put on the machine, and you got to get a new mechanism for the saw, but you're not going to cut your finger off.
I read about this, or maybe saw a video on it. Is this a newer technology?
Yeah, maybe last 10 years.
Yeah, I saw a video a couple years ago about this technology. It's pretty amazing.
Cool.
How does that work? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. We don't have it.
Yeah, you like the dangerous shit. I saw something that you built. It's like fucking belt going around, and like that's not the equipment you want. Like someone like me. Yeah, I've used that.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing, though. I mean, no one's going to test the accuracy of that
No,
kill
yeah.
switch with risking a finger. But the way the video was presented, and I don't even know who did it. It might have been the company maybe who produces it. It was pretty incredible. The safety aspect of that. Of course, no one's going to test fate. There's so many things that can go wrong. I mean, obviously you could slice off your finger, but my father was a carpenter. All his friends were carpenters and plumbers and electricians, so I kind of grew up in that world. And all these guys telling their war stories, and you hear the ones of, like, the wood kicking back and impaling people, like the whole bit. Like, any really dangerous thing that can happen. In fact, my dad, one of his best friends, they called him 9.5. His name was 9.5.
Yeah.
It wasn't on a belt saw, though. It was actually on a bagel machine. It's a whole nother story. Back when it would you'd stuff the dough in.
Oh, God.
You'd stuff the dough in, and it would do this. And of course, there's a safety in there. But like any good business owner, you're like, let me take that safety off because it's...
Sure. You get better access.
I need better access. So then 9.5 becomes your name. And someone gets a special bagel.
Will you have, a chunk of wood or something kick back or pull in to a saw? It really make you think twice. I have a head block that I was trying to bevel, and it went too quick, and it pulled into the machine, and I have that head block on my saw. Take your time.
100%.
Yeah,
because you never see it coming. I mean, no one ever thinks an accident's coming, but with shit like that, you go from everything's cool to, oh shit, it's like a car accident. Oh, and then it's over.
Done.
And I've seen, even just with drills, I've been lazy on a couple drills, wasn't paying attention to the tension on it, and then that drill starts to go, sprain your wrist just like that. Sprain if you're lucky. Everything keeps going. Your bones don't want to go though.
I can't tell you how many times I've sanded off the tips of my fingers with the belt sander, trying to like lower a guitar part or sand something really thin, and just sand off the tips of your fingers.
That's why you have those. They call you baby tips.
That's
one of your stage names, baby tips.
Baby tips.
Always refreshing. Tell me, I'm interested in this Woodworkers Collective idea.
Yeah, it's
I think it's great. Other than providing the space, the tools, are you also planning on providing the materials? So I know you're a materials guy. I think one of the first times I met you, you were talking about, oh yeah, I've disassembled old pianos just to get the wood that's inside to use to either make repairs or to make new things. I remember you telling me that story, and that's when I was like, all right, this guy's cool. I think that's really interesting. And that stood out to me. So are you planning on providing the wood, and what are some, well, we'll stick with that question.
Well, I mean, I haven't really thought that far into it. One other aspect of, if we do go with the Woodworkers Collective, would be to do workshops, do like guitar kit builds. I mean, I even want to get into like stained glass, do stained glass classes.
I would be at that class.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I have this romantic attraction, always have, to stained glass. There's a mystery about it. The fact that lead is involved, it just sounds scary.
Yeah. You could die, sure.
Yeah, that's exciting. I like that. 9.5, man, let's go. But stained glass is it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an art form that's ancient, and there's colored glass, lead around it. Like, that's kind of it.
So this the shop, I'm working with this buddy of mine, Paul, and he's a career cabinet builder, furniture maker, master carpenter, and he and I are going to make humidified cases for guitars, showcases, 1 5, 8, whatever guitars, whatever dimensions you need, and sealed, humidified pieces of furniture that go in your house, living room, whatever. And they have doors with glass, and you can open the doors and you can put your prize guitar in there. And so we're gonna make those.
That's gorgeous. So custom humidified cases. Mm-hmm. How do you make something humidity controlled?
Well, there's systems that you can put in it. It's like a humidor, you know.
It's a large humidor.
Yeah. Except a cigar humidor would be like a higher percentage of humidity. Like, I don't know what it is, but like 70%. A guitar wants to be at 45 to 50%.
Yeah, and I'm always keeping my basement, where it needs to be, so I don't jack up my guitars too much.
Yeah. That's a good way to go about it. So there's that, and then you mentioned the pianos, taking apart pianos. It just did, I've taken apart 3 in the last couple weeks, the last month.
Do you scoop up pianos just for that purpose? Are you always on the lookout?
Yeah, well, I mean,
they're always they come to
not
me. Even sale.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can get this out of my house, it's yours. That's usually what I hear from people trying to sell a piano. It's always like, I want this, but look, if you can get this out of my fucking house, thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
2/3 of the stories I hear.
It's a dead market. The acoustic piano. I mean, it's really, nobody wants them anymore, and they're throwing them away. So I'll take them and repurpose the spruce and the outside of the shell of the piano. Most of them are laminate mahogany or whatever it is, but I'm going to repurpose those panels, the larger panels, into like cajones. I want to make percussion drum you sit on,
I love the cajon. I have a great one. It was a cheapo. It was not expensive, but I played about 9, and that was the one. And it was the cheapest of all 9.
Really?
Just goes to show, folks, like, price is on point sometimes. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes just close your eyes and use your ears. And I still play it. I don't even remember what company it is. I bought a foot pedal for it. Mm-hmm. They make a cool foot pedal for a cajon that kicks backwards, so you can sit on it. I do play some drums and percussion.
Oh, so you have a forward-facing pedal, but the kick goes backwards. That's nice.
Man. I think DW make someone with a 2-letter name
probably
makes
both
the pedal.
Of them. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great design. Simple cable, and it has a bracket that attaches to the cajon. Mm-hmm. So obviously, you don't want your foot going all around the world.
Sure.
It's very simple, clean design. And when I was getting work more as a percussionist and a drummer, I was like a 3rd string kind of guy. So I was getting some calls, but I'm not your first choice, that's for sure. I was like, well, what's the most economical way I can transport and play a show, sound good, and not carry a lot of shit? Because drummers out there, I feel you. Mm-hmm. You have to. That's why they're so obsessed, because they have to be. Like, if you're just like, I play drums, it's like you're not carrying all that shit to clubs and sessions if you don't really care. So I cared enough to bring the minimal amount of gear. So I would roll up with a cajon and a snare and a tambourine and some brushes. Mm-hmm. And like, that was appropriate for more than half of the gigs.
And you just stuff everything inside the cajon.
Totally. I had a whole like transport setup. I'm like, if I have to do more than 2 trips solo, it's too much gear. Mm-hmm. And if you mic it correctly, a cajon can sound like a cannon. Yeah. But they're tricky.
Yeah. Well, I've never really, I haven't played a lot of, say, high-end cajons, but the tone on a cajon is
we might have stumbled across your future company name.
Tone on cajon.
We got
Tona Cajona.
we got to tweak it. I'm not thinking great right now. We got to tweak it, but it's in there. Cajon tone. All right, men on pause. Let's keep moving forward.
There's a lot of different design features that I've toyed around with as far as a attachment for the kick, a engageable snare.
Yeah, something to get a little more
dimensions. Actually using a piano soundboard that's braced as the hitting surface, I think would sound better than a piece of plywood.
It's endless. And ultimately the note that it's hitting is correlates to the dimensions of the box, right? Not necessarily to the wood that's used.
And I would want to do something that's a little more comfortable, like with a pad on it. Maybe it's a little longer as opposed to being wider.
Totally. I would bring a little custom seat.
Yeah.
I made like I covered it. It was like a piece of memory foam that I'd cut and covered and made it the shape of the cone just so I didn't look like a jackass sitting on like an egg crate sticking out the side of my butt while I'm playing a show trying to look cool. So I put a little effort into making it like not be obvious, but you absolutely, who wants to sit on a box?
Or even one with like an angled face to where you're not hunched over it so much. Yeah. Anyways,
so more like you're leaning into it.
Yeah. It's like got a 45, and then.
Oh, but then what's to keep it from sliding back when you're hitting
You're sitting on it. It wouldn't work with a kick pedal, but maybe it would. But
that's interesting.
Yeah, you're sitting on it, so I mean, you're playing it like this as opposed to.
Yeah, I really worked on making it comfortable because as the reason I put all this together is because I didn't want to carry a bunch of stuff, but I also don't want to go home like sore.
Sure.
Which I did many times. That's interesting. I think if you could dial in, if you can dial in the comfort aspect. Like is anyone doing that? Like obviously you could just put a fucking pillow on it like I did basically, but to integrate it into the design would be interesting.
My concern with that is that the cajon market is really, it's kind of like the ukulele market in that there's just like, it's all kind of entry level. No, people aren't spending a lot of money. I mean, some people are.
You're right. You're 100% right. Yeah, the amount of professional percussionists probably equals the amount of professional ukulele players. That's a tiny that's a good point.
Yeah.
Mine was an entry level. It just happened to be the best sounding one in the room. I wanted something that it didn't have an adjustable snare, but there was something in there, so it had a really nice crack. Actually, I think it was adjustable. You had to do a bunch of stick your hand in there. I guess you could adjust the tension of it. But it sounded great right off the bat, but it was the fattest sounding one. Ultimately, you want a woof to be there. So if you have to sit in with a duo or a trio or even a band, it can have some balls, basically. Because otherwise, then it's just like you might as well just have, no disrespect to the suitcase kick drum. I want to give a shout. You know who used to rock the suitcase in such a fashionable way? I want to give a shout out to Joe Harvard. Do you know Joe?
I know who he is.
Joe Harvard, man. I miss you. Man. He had all the janky, weird, fucking busker plus stuff.
It's got the hobo folk kind of.
He was hobo Joe. He had asked me to do a tour with him. It was a million years ago, and I regret not doing it only because I would have got to know him a little bit better. He was an interesting guy, and I really liked him, and I couldn't go play with him on that tour. I don't even know what he was looking for. He might have been looking for a drummer, so clearly he was desperate. But we just got along really well, and he had done some pedal steel and Jarmusch playing on an album that I had done. I just really liked that guy.
Jarmusch?
Yeah, it's maybe a Middle Eastern instrument. It's not spelled like it sounds, and I don't want to mess it up. So, internetosphere, please help me. But yeah, I miss him. He right before he passed, he did a show. He booked a show and brought all of his shit. I was like, come to the show and take my shit home with you, because I don't want to leave my shit with my with my family. So it's like you're going to a show for your friend, and he was sick as hell at this point, and you got a bunch of boxes to rummage through. So it's like exciting,
heavy.
It was exciting and heavy, and that motherfucker at that show, he was super sick, and I guess he was just, it was like, I don't know, something otherworldly, something metaphysical, something spiritual. He had the energy of 3 young men at that show. He played the whole show, and just rotating cast of people backing him up, people from that era of his career. Oh, the Boston Crew. I did that pretty good. I think that sounded good. We're going to leave it at that. And then local musicians, my buddy Jay Walker, he sat in for a good amount of it, and just getting to see his career, and he crushed it. He's playing guitar and singing on just about everything. And then I saw him a week later at the Light of Day Festival. Might have been the last show he did. And I ran into him. I wanted to go. I knew I wasn't going to see his set, because I think I was playing at the same time as him, but I wanted to just go say hi and let him know, like, dude, that show last week. He goes, I had to sleep for 2 days. I was in bed for 2 days after that show.
Wow.
I was like, awesome. The fact that you were able to do that. And we visited him, Jay and I. What's up, Jay, if you're watching this? We visited him at the hospital. It was right before he passed away. And having a conversation with someone who's dying, who knows they're dying, is okay with dying, is okay, I guess, as you could be, and just sitting there with them and like holding their hand and having a conversation. It's so important, I think, to be able to do that and think about that and experience that and watch someone do that. And I remember leaving the room. We were at Jersey Shore Medical Center, or whatever it's called now, Meridian, and you're saying goodbye to someone. All right, I'll see you, but you're not going to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew. He said something like to that effect, and Jay and I sitting in the car afterwards at the hospital, just like. Anyway, shout out to Joe Harvard's spirit. That Boston Harvard spirit. Miss you, dude. What else? What else are you thinking about? You're a creative dude, man. So you're repairing instruments. You got I wanted to ask you, what do you do with a piano? What do you do with all the metal? The metals inside of a piano. Are any of those recyclable, sellable?
I say
repurposable.
Yeah, most like the harp, all the strings, I scrap them.
Is there anything of value in a piano?
There's a lot of brass and copper hinges, bars, screws. A lot of really cool flathead screws. I inventory a lot of those, and I'm going to try and find ways to repurpose them along the way. But a lot of that stuff is, how much of that can you really keep?
I don't know. Isn't copper you could sell that, right? I guess you need a whole freaking lot of copper.
One piano will get you a 12-pack. It's really nothing.
I remember working at a school.
Right now, at least.
I remember working at a school in a really rough area, and they had to explain to me that they had to protect their air conditioning systems because people would come in at night and rip out all the copper from the air conditioning system of the school to sell for probably very little money. But they had to secure their air conditioning system. And I was like, what? That's a thing? They're like, that's a thing. Mm-hmm. Someone will come in if there's $5 to be had. And what a bummer that someone has to take apart an air conditioning system of a school so they can whatever they're going to do with that money.
What's the new one that I heard about? People robbing catalytic converters from buses because there's like, I want to say palladium in them or some kind of precious metal in catalytic converters, and they're like crazy amounts of money for the metal in these things, and it's happening in Jersey City a lot.
Everything happens in Jersey City. I lived in Jersey City for 3 years, way before it was hip. So this is not the Jersey City you're thinking of if you're watching this show. This is the Jersey City that I was living up there. I was going to school, and my friends would be like, "I want to let me come and visit you." I'm like,
You sure about that?
I'm like, "You're not going to take your car, are you?" That would always be the first thing I'd say. And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Take public transportation or get dropped off, or unless your car is so ass that like nobody wants a part of it." I remember getting locked out of my car with the keys in it in Jersey City. This is, I don't know, was this like mid 90s, I guess, when I was living there, late 90s. And I'm like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?" And I'm like, "Wait, I bet you we can just sort of," and this is terrible, but we could probably just profile a couple people and be like, "Look, dude, can I give you $20 to get in my car?" The first person I asked was good. He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Awesome."
I will pay you to
It took him about 30 seconds. There's your 20. Oh, this was great. What's the call? A locksmith at 4 p.m. in Jersey City in 1996. Oh, man. That's a true story.
Wow.
We're like, wait, there's another way. So we're like, I was in college at the time. You have no money.
Locksmith is at least going to cost $37. I mean,
and like, I'm not sure who the locksmith was in my local area where I was living, but I knew where the guys on the corner were. And yeah, true story. Jersey City, the old Jersey City.
Was he excited about doing the job?
No, it was just like, yeah, I could totally do that. And it's like, yeah, all right, well, here's half now. And, it was not a special car. I do miss that car, though. I had to do a couple of shady things to get that car, to keep it on the road when it was in Jersey City. My 87 Chevy Cavalier, two-tone blue, dark blue and light blue.
Factory?
What does that even mean?
Like factory paint scheme?
Oh, yeah, dude, I've never put a cent into a car that I didn't have to. So this was just bought off of, I think it was, I told you my father was a carpenter, so it was one of his clients who we ended up becoming, he and our family became very close with, as she was elderly, and she was over for Thanksgiving and all the holidays. She basically became a member of the family. So I bought her car. Factory, to answer your question. I don't think I've ever had anything non-factory. Although I did put a hitch on my car recently, so I could put a bike rack attachment on it. So I have a tiny little Honda, which can barely transport 4 people in it. Yet they do make a small class hitch. It's like class C hitch. You better not put anything more than 2 or 3 bikes on that thing, or else the car's probably going to go like this. Mm-hmm. And you're not. I'm not pulling anyone with that thing. I'm not going to save you if you're like in trouble. My car will not be able to pull you out of any trouble, but I could transport the kids' bikes and Julie's bike on it. Anyway, dude, I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Oh, yeah. My pleasure.
What else? What else are you thinking about? You're a creative guy, and it's what I like about you. Creative, but you apply your creativity. You're not like a creative type where you philosophical conversations. Although we bust each other's chops a lot in that realm, but you apply your creativity in a crafty way, and I respect that about you. What other ideas do you have?
I'm starting my guitar company. Yetson Guitars.
Ytzen?
Ytzen. It's my mother's maiden name. Ytzen.
What nationality is that?
German.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've visited Germany a couple times. It's a beautiful place. I had a wonderful experience. What tell me about those guitars?
Well, they will have repurposed piano spruce as braces, and dreadnought guitars, OM style acoustic guitars. I'll do whatever style of guitar somebody wants me to do, but that's the driving force right now is acoustic guitars. The next one will be an OM style.
Is there a prototype already?
No, I built my first acoustic, but I wouldn't call it a prototype. It sold. It was a dreadnought style, spruce top, walnut backsides, mahogany neck.
Nice
deal. Herringbone, purfling.
Pretty.
Yeah, it sounded great, and I finished that October of 2019.
What would you do differently on the next one? I'm sure you learned 1,001 things making that guitar.
Man, it turned out really well. I work on the jointery of the neck a little bit, doing a one-piece neck as opposed to a scarf joint, or a Spanish luthier's joint is what it's called, where you joint the headstock to the neck so you don't have to use a full board, a thick board. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many different ideas with that, as far as just fixtures and jigs to make it easier, seamless process.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's a lot
you might
to
have
it.
put in a couple more hours than you were originally planned for.
Oh, it took me 8 months to build.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you.
Really longer than that, but really digging in whenever I had the time. That was never full time working on it, but I'd like to have 3 going at all times.
That's beautiful. Well, I look forward to checking that out, and I'm gonna bug you to see a few pictures of that after the show.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show today.
My pleasure.
Daniel Hickman, Don't Fret Guitars, Don't Fret Guitar Repair, and soon to be a Woodworkers Collective, which will come under another name. And say the guitar name again.
Ytzen.
Ytzen. Sounds great, man.
Thanks.
Props to is it your mom or your grandmother?
My mom.
Props to your mom. Props to moms
Pam.
everywhere. Pam, what's up? Will she watch
Shout
this?
out to Mom. Yeah, hey, yeah, I'll let her know. Of course.
Hey, Pam. Nice job with this guy. Thanks, brother, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Fun for me, too. Real quick. Don't forget. What is it? Only a Moby pickle is good enough for Bubby. Have a great day. We'll see you.